What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we're going to take a look at a brand new exotic weapon in the Dark Below DLC. This is Dragon's Breath, an exotic rocket launcher that does solar damage. It's a very iconic one you've probably seen a lot of, and it's obviously quite a rare weapon in itself. I actually got this from the final Crota loot stage. After I beat Crota, I got this. I didn't actually know that you could get exotics from the actual Crota, but it turns out you can. They are very rare, but I did manage to get this myself, and it's a very cool weapon. We can take a look at it right here, and we can go through the perks and see what this weapon can be upgraded to. The first one is tripod, which means it can hold 3 shells, which is very helpful. So that means 3 shells in the actual one magazine for reloading, essentially. And then it's 3 choices are quick draw, so you can draw the weapon faster, and then javelin, which increase the warhead velocity, which I've gone for. And there's also the heavy payload. Now I've actually chosen the javelin perk, which increased the velocity. I chose this because the velocity of Dragon's Breath is actually pretty slow. Like, it takes a long time for the rocket to hit its target. It travels very slowly in the air. That's what velocity means, how fast the actual rocket travels, and I think that's a very, very helpful upgrade for this weapon. And this last unique perk, which is a very cool one, is that it leaves solar flares after its detonation. So the same solar flares you can throw as a Sunsing or Warlock, you can actually leave these after every rocket. So if you've got 3 in a shell, you can actually shoot 3 of these rockets at a boss, and you have 3 solar flares literally sitting there, and they'll all just be doing damage to the boss. And then if you reload the thing, you can get another 2 or 3 shots into him. You can get even more solar flares. You can just have solar flares everywhere just doing damage, and you can like do good control of areas. You can obviously block enemies from walking into a room, because obviously they will not walk over those. So you can actually do quite a lot of good zone control and make sure enemies do not step where you don't want them to. Possibly in Crucible, you could shoot a bunch of these on a flag and make sure people do not walk on them. So you can do a lot of good stuff with the solar flares that it does leave over with the Pyromancer perks. It's a very cool one, and of course, which is unique. Now the only downside of this weapon, I'd say, is that it does not track. That's the only thing missing. A lot of rocket launchers have the ability to track and seek their target, some aggressively, which will just persistently follow their targets and make sure it will hit. And this is a weapon that you definitely want to be shooting at bosses and kind of zoning control, making sure that enemies don't go to certain areas or kind of pushing enemies backwards. And you can see right here, it's very, very useful on the spider walk, because he doesn't move all too much. He's very stationary and tends to stick in the same area. And if you just get a bunch of these and stick them right on him, then he's got a bunch of solar flares inside him doing lots of damage, and it's quite useful against bosses that don't tend to move all too much. Against ones that move, they're probably just going to move out of the way. And but all in all, it's a decent weapon. Its only downside, of course, is that it does not track. A lot of rocket launchers do seem to have a downside. The ideal one, I guess, would be one that has 3 shells, tracks, and also does some kind of cluster bombs that leaves after it. But there's no rocket launcher that seems to be perfect right now. But this is definitely a good one. I think I like to combine this one and also one that seeks. So they're both kind of good in different scenarios and different situations. But for bosses that don't move all too much, you don't really need seeking. So I'm definitely going to use this weapon on bosses like that. And additionally, it's got a pretty cool visual to it. It's got this like shark paint on the side of it, and it's got this like old school World War II like aiming reticle for it. So it's got a cool visual looks to it, and also it breathes like smoke. It's always like steaming or smoking. You can see it right here just sitting on my back, and it's got this constant smoke coming out of it. So it literally does have like a dragon's breath, which is a cool little visual feature that is always breathing this smoke. So let me know your thoughts on this Dragon's Breath, a very cool rocket launcher, an exotic one, and is new in the Dark Below DLC. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like rating. Make sure to subscribe for more videos. You can check more videos out in the playlist in the description. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.